ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of this glorious world, have you missed us? Yes, we have. Have we missed you? More than you will ever know. The very sinews of our bodies, the very elements, the very atoms have been crying out eternally, craving, absolutely. It was
insatiable.
Yes, exactly. We have large appetites just for you. So we are incredibly happy to see you
over
again.
The moon,
literally
George.
we jumped over the moon as soon as we knew we were going to see you again.
Boing.
We leapt over the moon with a silver spoon, and then we landed right here on this sofa, and Luke is about to bowl us over with some incredible story of something which is happening right here, right on the very planet which you inhabit. So then, what we've been missing?
So guess what, George, right?
What?
There's these two...
Do I have to guess?
Well, you don't have to guess. I'm just going to tell you.
It's funny that people say that, isn't it? They say, guess what? It's like...
You just tell them.
And you just tell them, like who started the saying, guess what? Like, all right, maybe...
Green men landed on Mars.
An opera singer walked into a fish and chip shop and started singing and everybody started crying. Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened.
Probably happened somewhere, and if it didn't happen, it should happen.
It didn't happen in this dimension, it would happen in some dimension, surely.
What are all you opera singers playing at? You should do it. There are fish and chip shops all over the place. Change some lives. What, you always got to get paid? Must this be a lucrative existence? Is that your game, is it? Why don't you go and enliven some fish and chip shops, right? Down in Brighton, make some people happy, conjure up some tears, let them drip down their faces, and let them go home with a memory, a story, something that they never expected to happen that day. That would make the news, but instead, no, that didn't happen. What happened?
George, so basically, right?
Basically.
Right, I'm doing my Cockney accent again. So basically.
Basically, do it, Luke. Do it loud and proud.
So, well, listen, I am partly, Cockney, so that's why it comes out.
We're a bit London, ain't we? London.
We are a bit London,
that's what
right?
you'd be like, where are those two from? London, America, UK, Europe, all over. We are from place, what called,
Planet Green.
Earth. Eat Earth. Anyway.
So, there's a show called The Brits, right?
I've heard of it.
It's a very popular show, and they've got big pop stars on it, innit? People like Ed Sheeran and Adele, right? And they're like really famous and stuff.
You notice he didn't say musicians and singers, he just said big pop stars. Now, I'm not saying that Adele and Ed Sheeran aren't singers and songwriters and stuff, but they are, Brit pop is like Brit Awards is pop music, isn't it? So, not necessarily music, just what was that song that we were singing earlier, Luke?
We were singing so many, George. We were singing All I Want.
No, yeah, we were. All I want is a room somewhere here on this sofa and this comfy chair, and I just want to grow a whisker of hair because that would be lovely. Anyway, no, we were singing that guy's song, I never met a girl like you before. And I was saying, what a simple... It's just a scale. Like it's crazy to think that we have like Chopin, Mozart, Beethoven. All those people came long before.
George.
And then you reach like, the 90s and stuff. And is that 90s? I don't know. And you got music.
Yeah, it was.
If you played that on a keyboard. Yeah, that would be 12 million. 12 million pounds, please. $12 million for that tune.
They did quite well, didn't they, that track? It is catchy though, isn't it?
It's the greatest thing since Chopin.
It was the greatest thing since...
fantastic. It's just music.
Adele.
Pop music. Anyway.
Apparently. So look, it's
no weight to it. It's a track. It's a tune. It's a tune, some people would say. So then, what happened with the Brit Awards?
So look, it was the Brits, right? It's a celebration, right? And two of the biggest pop stars of their time are Adele and Ed Sheeran, right? But George, there is a but. Time. Yeah?
Yeah, the but is that it's Adele and Ed Sheeran. I think Adele's actually quite a good songwriter from the 2 songs of hers that I actually listened to through. So no hate, because I don't really listen to them. Ed Sheeran, obviously I've got a certain degree of prejudice, because I'm a singer-songwriter. I write lyrics, and I write songs, and I play guitar, and I think everybody who is in that sort of category always looks at these things a little bit differently, because you look at it and go, could I do that? I think I could do that. I could do it. So you can't help but, like, as soon as I started writing songs, I started listening to songs a bit differently. Because before, they were just gods to me. And then as soon as you start playing, you do listen to some and go, oh, that's not that hard. That's like 3-4 chords. Could have done that. So, but Adele's a bit different because it's not just a an acoustic songwriter. Carry on, I keep interrupting you, despite everything my parents ever told me about how rude it is. Tell me off now.
But after changing the Brits' tried and tested winning formula, organisers achieved the astonishing trick of changing it, right? And getting it wrong for both singers, says this article. Tuesday night's woke gender neutral awards.
Is that what it's called? Or they're having a joke here?
That's not what it's called. But basically...
I mean, that sounds like the worst awards ceremony of all time. Tonight, for the woke gender neutral awards, here's a guy who's won the greatest award for being nice.
And not a guy.
And this
Because it's a gender neutral.
This non-guy woman won the best award for being bland. And Bill and Susan had an inoffensive conversation on Tuesday, and they've got this award. But this award, which is supposed to be a man, a little bit like the Oscars, we've changed it so that it's merely a single shape like this, but we decided that was a little bit offensive because some might see it as a phallic sign, so we just decided to give them some air instead, which would be inoffensive. You can't not offend, can you? It's impossible.
No, it's impossible.
Someone would be offended by it. But then they decided that air was not a good enough award because they said everybody has access to it, and then they said, but some people don't have access to clean air. So that offended the people who don't have access to clean air. So the woke gender neutral awards was a huge disaster, and all of the people went to Twitter immediately and wrote about how offensive it was despite its attempts to be inoffensive. In further news,
to scrap, the Brits decided to scrap the best male and best female categories while in a speech. Yeah, so they've decided to scrap that. So basically, there's no male category.
It's just best music.
It's just best artist.
Well, I think that's silly. I've got no problem with best male and best female. And I say that as a songwriter, don't care, right? In fact, if I was to win the best female award, I'd probably be like, oi. But there's no, I mean, who would care? Who would care? Like, it doesn't matter.
Adele said...
Women tend to write slightly different kinds of songs.
Well, she said, I understand why this has changed, but I really love being a woman and a female artist.
There you go. But she's going to get some shit on Twitter for saying that. You're not allowed to say that you're happy being a woman. In fact, you're not allowed to say you're happy at all because that's going to offend someone too. You can't even say, I was quite happy last night. I've been really depressed for a lot of my life. But last night I had a good light. I saw the light. I saw the optimism. I saw as if through the keyhole of life and said there is actually hope and promise right over there on that side of the wall. And someone goes, you were happy? I haven't been happy in fucking 6 months. You were happy for an hour? That really offends me. That's not fair. And then they take to Twitter and they give you all sorts of shit. She can't say that she's allowed to be a woman. No. Offends me right to my core.
Well, further to that, as the evening progressed, a procession of industry bigwigs, this is a technical term, George.
Bunch of people came in, wigs, right? 14 of them, big wigs, just rolled in, like arching the hair, coming in, 2 eyeballs in each wig, and like open mouths, gushing. Remember we talked about that?
It's
Gushing
such an odd phrase, isn't it? Bigwigs. Where'd that come from?
English is a very bizarre language.
Industry bigwigs were keen to voice their own frustrations at the change of awards. They pointed out...
You know why? I'll tell you why.
I was going to tell you why.
No, I'm going to tell you why. The reason the bigwigs like there to be a best male and a best female category is because the primary reason that these awards actually exist is to sell more music. Sure. It used to be sell more records, then it was to sell more tapes, then it was sell more CDs. But at the end of the day, right, when your artist wins best da-da-da-da-da, they get to slap it all over the advertisements, all over the CD boxes, or all over iTunes, and they get to say, winner of best blah 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 blah. So as soon as you go best songwriter is now 1 award instead of 2, that means you've got much less chance of actually selling. And the other thing is, if you're a label who happens to own multiple artists, which oftentimes they're both on the same fucking label, like Ed Sheeran and Adele might be on the same label, don't know, but it's possible, and they go, no, if she won best woman and he won best man, then they would both win and our sales would both go up in the following months, right? That's what happens. When somebody wins an Oscar, do you know what they do, right? Just look at it. It doesn't take a genius to work this out. But the Oscars will look at somebody and they'll say, okay, look, a few years ago, give you an example of this, right? Don't mean to interrupt you, but I did. Bill Murray went up for the Oscar for Lost in Translation, okay? And the Oscars will look at that and go, everyone loves Bill Murray, and Bill Murray makes like one movie every few years, if that, right? He also doesn't have an agent. Bill Murray is like the only guy in Hollywood. No, he doesn't need an agent. He just works when he feels like it. Whereas someone like Sean Penn, who won that year, no offense to Sean Penn, he's been around, he's been in the game, he's a good actor, right? His whole family are in that business.
Are they?
And well, Chris Penn and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And Hollywood will look at that and they'll go, Sean Penn makes like 5 movies a year, right? So if we give Sean Penn Best Actor, then we can put it on every single film he makes in the next few years.
Actor.
Best Actor winner, Sean Penn, starring Best Actor. And that means every film he's in, the money is going to go up because people see it on the posters and they're more likely to go into the cinema. Whereas Bill Murray, he ain't never in a goddamn movie. And even if he is, his films are a huge success anyway. So don't give the Oscar to the guy who's not going to make you any more profit. Give it to the person who's going to make you more profit.
It's good business sense.
It's good business sense. So when it comes to this and they go, what do you mean you're going to get rid of one of the awards? They are going to say, that's not lucrative, right? You've just killed 50% of the sale margin when we could have had 2 awards. Now, that might get me in some trouble saying stuff like that. And I'm not, disclaimer, it's just what I thought whilst I was looking at the awards going, hang on a sec. This is business, isn't it? It's business. Good business. Although it's nice to have an awards ceremony because why not? They work hard. Give them some bit of celebration now and then.
The thing is, the point is they're trying to say, I guess their point of view is, look, we're not trying to, separate genders and everyone's equal. So why do we have to have a male and a female category? This is what they would say, right? This
because
is what
they're
some
not
people
equal.
would say.
There's different kinds of equal. No one's completely and utterly equal, right? It's okay to be a man and a woman, right? It's okay to say I'm a woman and I'm going to have a baby, and a man says that's okay, you can have a baby and I'm going to go and do my sort of thing, right? Not that he can be there while she's giving birth, that's all fine. But at the end of the day, right? Rock and roll, heavy metal, these are quite testosterone fueled things, okay? From Jimi Hendrix down to like Metallica and Korn and stuff like that, right? These are generally quite aggressive male things because it's testosterone based, okay?
Motley Crue.
Yeah, no, if a woman wants to do it, if you want to do the sort of Courtney Love whole kind of stuff, that's great. There are, of course,
exceptions.
There are exceptions to that rule, but there's also a reality that generally when it comes to things like popular boy bands, like Boyzone and NSYNC and that sort of thing, they're generally idolised by teenage girls. Teenage girls tend to gravitate to a certain kind of music and boys tend to gravitate to their certain kind of music. That's okay.
Girl. Let me be the one, girl.
Love me for a reason. Let the reason be love. It's amazing how that stays in my head. I don't think I've ever sat there and listened to it, but it was on television a lot back in the day. But anyway, I mean, I don't even know why I need to talk about it. Like, men on average tend to go, yeah, let's watch football, and women often be like, okay, well, I'm gonna watch stuff, look at this fashion magazine and whatever. Like, there's plenty. I am allowed to say it because I just said it.
Say that, George.
Don't get me wrong. I know women can be fantastic.
Don't like football, George. Is that what you're saying?
Some of my favourite books ever written are written by women. Some of my favourite music ever written is written by women. Right? It's fine. I don't care. What difference does it make? But you're allowed to have different awards. Like, bloody hell. I'll give you a little thing about this, right? Because I've made
just a little thing though, George. All right.
Just a little thing.
Just a little thing.
Because I've made a film, made a couple of shorts, things like that, and at one point I had to cast woman, and
you had to cast a woman.
Had to cast a woman.
Did you call her a woman to her face?
Well, I didn't have to say that because at that point there was a casting director doing it for me. But the point is this:
and you discriminated against that person, and you called that person a woman.
I said no. This is what I said. I need an actress. Now nowadays,
you called that person an actress.
Nowadays, that is allegedly an actor, right?
They're all actors,
the discrimination is that they're like, no, it's an actor, right? I'm an actor, not an actress. Now the problem with that is when you're actually trying to make the damn film and you're on a deadline and you've got all this work to do and you're writing the script and you're storyboarding it and you're getting the camera right and you're speaking to dozens of people and you go, I need an actress in this scene, and she needs to be between 25 and 30, or at least look like it, because that's the part, and I need it to be filled by tomorrow, right? And I need to see some people, and they're like, don't worry, I know, it's last minute, we got a great one, and then a guy shows up, you're like, what the fuck is this? There's a reason the word exists, because you gotta need an actress between age 25 and 30 to fit this role, okay? But if I need an actor between 25 and 30, and a guy shows up, you're like, what the fuck is this? And then, like you said, you needed an actor between 25 and 30. You're like, yeah, but a woman. So it's for simplicity. It's not to offend anyone. It's just language. You can't, like, if he can act or he can't act, you're in the acting profession. It's not to offend anyone. If you look at something like doctor, right? There's no female doctor. A doctor is a doctor, whether you're a man or a woman. And that's because you don't need a female or a male doctor. You just need a doctor.
Well, sometimes you do, but then you'd ask specifically, can I see a male doctor or a female doctor?
If, say, you're a woman and you don't want a male gynecologist because you feel it's a bit inappropriate, that's perfectly fine. So could I have a female doctor, please? I'd prefer it. Perfectly understandable. But in terms of the meaning of the title, doctor is doctor, actor, actress, there's a reason why those words exist. And it's not to say one person is better or worse than the other. It's just because it's useful, which language should be. Although oftentimes, it isn't when it comes to things like bigwigs, because you go like, what the fuck is that? What happened? That sounds like a much better story than this. Bunch of bigwigs running in.
But do you not think...
Bunch of Chewbaccas.
I was just going to say, I agree with everything you're saying, brother. I do. But just to play sort of, the other side a little bit here, although there is no other side because we're all the same and there's no other side.
Love. It doesn't matter. Like, if anyone's confused, love everyone, man and woman, but it's just it's a different name. It's like saying I'm George and you're Luke. That's okay. It doesn't mean anyone's better than the other.
It's not who we are, right? It's Luke is a name, George is a name, male is an identity, female is an identity, but it's not who you are, right? Like, it's not who I am. I am a man, but that's not my deepest truth of who I am, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You are a man, but it's not the deepest truth of who you are.
I get it.
And you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be, you can be proud of being a woman, and you can be proud of being a man, you can be proud of being transgender, you can be proud of being a dog, you can be proud of being a cat, it doesn't matter. But why is it...
I am proud of being a dog.
You should be.
And sometimes I'm proud of being a cat.
You should be. You should be.
And sometimes I think, why don't they call me a canine? Why do I have to be called a dog? Right? That's another word for dog, is a canine. And a cat might go, why are they calling me a feline?
Well,
that's another, why are they calling me a cat when I want to be called a feline? Yeah. And he goes, same thing, it don't make a difference. They go, well, it means something to me. And you go, I didn't mean to offend you when I called you a cat, because you're a cat. No, I'm a feline. I'd rather be called a feline. Maybe I want to be called a canine. What difference? Either you love it or you don't.
I can see you as a nice ginger Cheshire cat, actually, in a past life.
Ginger Cheshire cat?
Yeah, is that possible?
Say so. The Cheshire cat.
Maybe a kind of blend of the two.
In Alice in Wonderland.
So I'm going to say this, right? So the big wigs, right? They pointed out that the new format robbed fellow superstar Ed Sheeran of the major prize, right? Because now there's less awards to give out, which is basically what you were saying, right?
Yeah, well, maybe they robbed it of him, but they also robbed the 450 other absolutely amazing singer-songwriters in this country who ain't signed, because the labels went, no, we don't want too many great people on our labels, because if you have too many great people, it saturates the market. They call it a glut, and they go, the market ends up in a glut, and then you've got too many people, which distracts us from, like, just selling records and going, oh, he's a genius. Oh, the great legend, John Legend's new album. Right? They can't say that so easily when they got like all these fantastic songwriters who are like at the forefront. So yeah, you stole it from him, but then you've stolen it from all the people who you didn't sign, and that's for me an even bigger problem, because there are plenty of fantastic, talented songwriters, and he'd admit it. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. He was in that Danny Boyle film about the Beatles. Yeah, it's quite a good film. Wow. Is it, I forgot what it's called. Danny Boyle, the guy who made Shallow Grave and Trainspotting and Sunshine, he made a film about a guy who sort of gets hit by a bus in a weird way, and then he wakes up and he's a singer-songwriter, and he starts playing Yesterday by Paul McCartney and the Beatles. Right. And the film's called Yesterday, as I remember it. And and he plays the song just sitting on a bench with his friends around, and then his friends are like, what the hell is that? And it turns up he's woken up in a world where the Beatles never existed. And he's like, well, it's Yesterday. And they're like, well, what the hell is that? Like, and they think he's written it. And the idea is, if this guy, suddenly the Beatles didn't exist and he starts playing all the Beatles songs, would it be as big a hit now as it was back then? And Ed Sheeran is in the film, and Ed Sheeran calls him up because he hears one of these songs on the radio. He's like, oh, these are unbelievable. I got it. And there's a scene in the film where Ed Sheeran very selflessly, because obviously he had the choice to do it, the kid plays the song The Long and Winding Road, and Ed Sheeran is like, I'm never going to write a song that good in my entire life. Like, how the hell did you do that? So, you know, he knows there are plenty of talented people out there in the world. Whatever, I'm sure he's quite happy. He's doing extremely well for himself.
Well, it sounds like he
doesn't need an award to let him know. He's doing very well.
Right.
Although Michael Jackson used to get annoyed when he didn't win awards.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. He got really annoyed that Bad didn't win Best Album at the Grammys. And he sat there, I think, in the front row. And afterwards he was really upset because he was convinced that it was going to take it. And he got annoyed that he didn't win.
Well, who won? Can you remember?
No, I can't. Can't remember.
I feel like he should have won, to be fair.
Well, if you'd like to find out more, you can read the book called The Magic and the Madness by a man called Randy J. Taraborelli, which is a very interesting name, isn't it? Sounds almost like terrible. But yeah, Randy Taraborelli wrote a fantastic book about the life of Michael Jackson, and he knew Michael Jackson personally, and that book is absolutely amazing. And he writes all about that there chapter in his life.
Well, George, on that note...
Was that the end of the story?
Well, I just thought you were done with it, and I just didn't want to keep going with it, because I just felt like you basically covered it, and I didn't want to keep bothering you.
No, I was enjoying
it.
It's
boring. So I just was like...
It certainly wasn't boring. It was fuel.
I thought you were just going to say...
It was fuel to this fire. What is burning right here?
I thought you were just going to say to me, nah, mate, get me some real news. And so I've gone to the news.
Whatever you read me, Luke, it's going to be like, you know, problematic. No, go back to it. This is terrible. You're disappointing the viewers.
Well, I had something
You're
else.
disappointing me.
I don't know where it is anymore.
Hit back.
Pressure.
There's a button called back.
Right, okay. So basically,
I want to know what happened. Did Adele and Ed Sheeran get into a fight? Did Ed Sheeran go, that's my award, Adele? And it was like Street Fighter 2 and Versus came up between them and Ken's music started playing.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
Who would win in a fight between Ed Sheeran and Adele?
Well, I think that's sort of obvious, but I'd be sexist if I say it's more likely that the victory will go to the man.
I think that's disgusting and disgraceful. Turn off now, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I don't think it should happen.
Adele
Don't ever hit a woman.
I think Adele
shouldn't
would
put those two together unless it is on a video game beat 'em up, in which case it's all for a laugh. But
it's funny that in video games you just beat the shit out of whoever you find. It doesn't matter.
Ryu versus Chun-Li doesn't matter because it's not real. They're cartoon characters.
Doesn't make you think anything. Right. In fact, such was the complexity, perhaps absurdity, that's quite clever writing by the side, of the new structure that Ed was left with the consolation prize of Songwriter of the Year, a gong not previously handed out.
That ain't a consolation prize. That's a great prize. Songwriter of the Year. There are songwriters all over the world.
Gutted with that.
All over the world writing songs. There's like John Williams.
Of the year, the best songwriter of the whole year.
Technically, song means sung, as in there are lyrics to it.
He was like, nah, mate, I'm not having it. I don't want this. I wanted the better award, and you've screwed it out.
What was the better award?
Well, because they had best male and best female, didn't they? Back in the day.
So what did she win that he didn't win?
Well, the best male and best female became...
Best songwriter.
Best artist.
Oh, so she won best artist and he won best songwriter. That doesn't even make any sense.
And he's not happy. But I think that's what's happened. And he's not happy, mate.
You know...
And the industry bigwigs aren't happy either. Steven
Spielberg had a thing where he said that he was... Because I don't think he's ever won best film. He's never won best... Either he's never won film or he's never won best director. And he kept saying, I think not. And he kept saying he thought it was a ridiculous situation that he had won... like best director but never best film, or he'd won best film but never best director. If we can think of no, it's that, because like in Schindler's List he won best film but he didn't win best director, and so he's done these films and he's like, how can I win best film but not best director? It doesn't make any sense. And it's like, of course it doesn't make any sense, Spielberg, because they create as many awards as they can, right, so that they can give awards to certain things that will help profit their business. So they're not going to give you best film and best director, because that's one award is enough to push the sales of your movie.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. And I tell you
Alfred
what,
Hitchcock never won Best Director. Ever. Stanley Kubrick never won Best Director.
And look how long it took Scorsese to win it. I mean,
because they don't need to. Because people already look up to them and go, these people are the best directors in the world. Tarantino.
Never won it, has he?
Never won it, right? Never won best film, as far as I know. He won best script for Pulp Fiction. But but they're like, well, anyway, you get the point. Carry on.
It felt, so what they're saying is, right, it felt like a shoehorn make weight. This Songwriter of the Year award, right? It felt like a shoehorned make weight to escape the embarrassment.
I don't know what that means. Make weight.
A make weight is like they just gave it to you to make the weight. Like, does that make sense? Just to sort of balance it,
to fill it in. Yeah, fill in the blanks.
To escape the embarrassment of one of our biggest talents performing twice in the night but not landing an award. Right? Okay.
If everyone already feels that way about him, what's the point in the ceremony? If you're like, oh, he's one of our biggest talents, and you say it like that's not prize enough. Like, if he's regarded as one of Britain's biggest talents, which is fucking hugely
commendable.
Well, I mean, partly ridiculous, because I'm sure there are scientists out there curing illnesses, changing the world, creating technologies, putting things into outer space, you know, revolutionising the lifespan, and you got a guy writing tunes and having a good time. Like, it's I don't know, talent in the sphere of financial benefit to large companies is sort of like more what they're hinting at. Like, let's push his talent forward because it sells. Whereas this guy over here, like Albert Einstein, he ain't making us any money. He might be bloody talented, but we're not going to say he's the most talented person in the year because, you know, it's just not as lucrative. So we're going to put the limelight over on this other side. That makes sense.
And that other guy, do you remember that Turing? Do you remember that guy? Was it
Alan Turing?
Alan Turing. He was a pretty talented guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, there's plenty of talent in different areas, right? There's some guy coding a video game, sitting there putting all the maths together, and it's not as easy to sell that person as a celebrity, even though what he's doing takes immense talent and skill and hard work. But whatever.
An insider put it wasn't broken before. All this change has done is rob Ed of one of the biggest prizes. He's had an incredible year and was definitely equal to Adele in terms of success. His album had generated hit after hit, and he was undoubtedly the biggest male star of the last 12 months. What is wrong with rewarding him for it? Celebrating.
Isn't it interesting that he's not saying this? Ed don't care.
Well, I don't know. I guess he doesn't. He's not said anything. Yeah, it's all the people around, all the industry.
They're just going, listen, why can't you give him that award so we can sell more records? Or a journalist going, I need something to write a story about so that I can get paid. So I'm going to write a thing saying it's not fair. You should have given him an award. Blah blah blah. There, put that in the sun. Give me some money.
So, celebrating two big British names who have raised the bar around the world for pop music is no bad thing. It's so short-sighted. Another source told us Ed was also frustrated by the new categories, adding, Ed loves the Brits and he cares about this stuff. He had a great night and his two performances went down brilliantly, but the way things worked out with the awards was disappointing. It just felt like a needless kick. The way the article ends. A needless kick. And then the question is asked, George, should artists be separated by gender? And that is the question. I think I already know your answer. I already know what you're thinking. And your answer is?
What I'm saying is, I actually don't care. So, like, in some area, I could say, no, of course they shouldn't be separated by gender, because at the end of the day, you go like, if someone's painting a picture, you go, who cares if it's a man or a woman painting the picture? If they're a stand-up comedian and you go, well, who's the best stand-up comedian? It doesn't matter. Like, whoever's funniest is funniest. That's fine. I can understand that. But at the same time, I do think sometimes it's okay for someone to say, you know, like, I really wanted to make a manly movie, right? I wanted to make Die Hard, Predator. Yeah,
is that like the manliest movie ever, Predator?
But then again, you could make an argument for that as well, because you could say Catherine Bigelow has made some of the manliest movies of all time, right? Like Point Break. Yeah, she is one of the most, like, you know, what was that other ones that she made? Like,
I'm disappointed that they made a remake of Point Break and I wasn't starring in it. That's disappointing.
I didn't watch it, and I haven't got any. Although if you were in it, I'd have watched it. But yeah, I mean, she's from Near Dark all the way up until The Hurt Locker and stuff. Yeah. She is one of the manliest directors ever. But I mean, I just don't know why everyone has. Why do they get like so uptight
about it?
Knickers
in a twist, weren't you? But you can't.
That's
say
what I was
that.
looking for. Don't get your knickers in a twist. Oh my God, I can't say that either.
Right. Well, I'm gonna continue because I thought the article was over, but this article goes on to talk about the Brits in general.
I'm starting to change my mind about it. I'm starting to think, actually, because it's like, best up, but I don't know, music. There is something about music. Because if I was like, who's the best writer of the year?
But if someone was like best male artist of the year, someone will be like, but why does it matter that he's the best? Why does it matter that he's gender? If he's the best artist of the year, he's the best artist of the year.
Because you sell more records. That's why they do it. But I understand it, but there is something to be said about in music, men flock to certain sounds, women flock to certain sounds. Obviously they share them, right? The Beatles are loved by women and men. That's totally fine.
Oasis. Women and men love Oasis.
But generally, certain music, like Slipknot, more men listen to it than women. Like rap music, generally gravitates more guys. So it's kind of like maybe in music it makes more sense to do that. Like, who cares?
Can I just say on the Brits? Growing up as a kid, the Brits was such an exciting part of the year. When the Brits were going to come on, it was such a cool thing because you never knew what was going to happen. It was so alive, and I dare say that word, controversial, because you never really knew what was going to happen at the Brits.
And it was live, broadcast to your TV live. That was a big deal.
Yeah, right. And the fact that it was live, I think, is that what made it even more exciting, because you really didn't know what was going to happen. You had these incredibly, raucous rock stars and musicians who were outside of the box, and they would do things. They had a few drinks, and things would kick off. They get on stage. Jarvis Cocker, I was
mooning Michael Jackson,
which was what a moment that was. You had people going up on stage swearing and saying "fuck this" and we should have got that award 3 years ago. Why are we only getting it now? And it would kick off, right?
I used to go to friends' houses to watch the Brit Awards.
It was great.
It was a big deal.
It was great, right?
But it was also because music meant so much to us back then. It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose to a lot of young people it still does, but because of this kind of scarcity of it, like you had to save up your money. You could pick one album now and then that you'd buy and you'd bring home. There was no YouTube. You couldn't just listen to every song ever instantaneously whenever you wanted. No Spotify. So it really was like, it's still huge, but it was like, even something like the Brit Awards, it was scarce because it was like, this is coming on once.
Yep.
And you can't just go on YouTube after and watch it, right? You watch it now or chances are you've missed it. So, it was big. It was an event. It was
the reason why I brought that up also is because apparently I didn't. Well, from what I'm reading, now the Brits has become extremely sanitized, right? So now you have basically people coming out and saying that, look, tonight felt a bit safe, a bit flat, yeah. Nothing's going on. There's nothing crazy to talk about. No one jumped on stage and mooned, anybody. No one's,
But I think that about the entire music industry.
Sure.
It is now flat and safe. You go back to the 90s and stuff, and the whole point is it's like rebellious people. That's kind of what music is.
Remember, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna knock me down. They had all those guys on, and they were like mocking the politicians,
The
Tony.
establishment.
Yeah, it was all like anti-establishment, right?
Pissing the night away. Yeah, I can't say I was all that keen on it, but yeah,
Sure.
it wasn't
a great track,
but it was a time of like Marilyn Manson, Eminem, right? Nirvana, right? All of this is counterculture. It's people saying, stay out of school, fight the system. All of this was kind of like, of course, craziness and chaos is going to happen when you put these people in a room together and let them loose on live TV. But nowadays, it's like, who are they? Ed Sheeran and Adele? What the hell do you think is going to happen? Like, it was a bit safe and bland. Obviously, it's not Eminem. Like, Jesus Christ, like, what?
Yeah, we don't.
This is the time we live in.
Surely we still have like artists who are like of a similar ilk in this day and age, but I feel like those.
No, because they're not let through. There's a reason they're not let through.
Yeah.
Sorry to put it to you that way, but they don't want those kinds of people because it's to them, it's like, this is dangerous. You put these people at the forefront and all the kids aspire to them and suddenly they go, yeah, I don't want to go to work. I want to be like that. I want to be a rock star. I want to play tunes and go out and date the girls, right? Rock and roll, right? There's a reason they're like, maybe Sex Pistols might be a little bit difficult if like all the generation are looking up to these people. They're not listening to like people telling them, no, we need culture to be safe and bland. We need it to be safe and bland because it makes it much easier for us to run things. You got a bunch of people staying up till 6 o'clock in the morning doing cocaine and being like, yeah, fuck you. That's difficult. Oasis were kind of the last ones. They were the last refuge, the last bastion of hope for a kind of counterculture. And look what happened to them. all the fucking media and stuff tried to tear them apart constantly. Every day they were in the news being like, oh my God, the rebellious brothers, it's so bad. Look at all this trouble they're causing. Of course, that didn't turn the fans off. That just made them even more popular. But in the higher echelons, they were still looking at it going, do we really want an entire generation to be following two working class, unemployed guys? Like
rock gods, you mean?
Totally rock gods. I mean, Noel Gallagher's fucking genius, but it's still like, they're still looking at them going, the message they're putting forward is cigarettes and alcohol and unemployment. And they've got like the biggest crowd in the history of British pop music, you know, when they played Nebworth, and they're going, maybe these are not the kinds of people we should let through and be the voices of a generation. Now, they write the best bloody music, but I would have to say there's got to be some people up there going, maybe we're gonna keep it a little bit more sanitized because we're having trouble with all these people on the dole, right, following their rock star heroes.
Well, what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? What do you think, and everything in between?
I think George is right. I think George is wrong. I think Luke's very attractive. I think. Go on, tell us.
Are there artists that you currently listen to who are what you'd call maybe the Oasis or the Eminems of this day, who are edgy, who are cool, are individuals who aren't just following trends, who aren't just maybe put in a box, who aren't maybe company driven, who actually stand out, who actually make you think, who you actually look up to in a way that they inspire you to be your most authentic self? Let us know.
Coldplay. I think Coldplay are very rebellious, very dangerous. You listen to Coldplay and all of a sudden you just want to like break glass and throw things around the room, don't you?
So I've got a story about Coldplay actually. So back in the day, right, I went to a V festival and I saw Coldplay perform, and they were on the smaller stage, and this was before they were famous. Like, this is like literally, you know, when a band just starts.
I heard them before they were famous.
And I fucking knew, like, I had such an ear for it. They played Bigger, Stronger, Faster. I wanna be bigger, stronger, drive a faster car. Do you remember that one?
I was thinking Bigger, Stronger, Faster is that Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary. No, there's a documentary about.
Yeah, I know the documentary. But it's a great documentary, actually. We can talk about it. But I remember hearing that, and I remember hearing them, and I was thinking, they've got something. They're gonna be big. I didn't fucking know they were gonna be like the fucking biggest band ever of their era. They were fucking huge.
I'm still surprised. I never met Chris Martin, but I taught his daughter. I won't say when, but it was in a school environment, and it was interesting because I met her and she was a student of mine.
Did you teach her?
And well, I won't say it because of all the sort of, but I taught her and I didn't know who she was, and I thought she's a really standout, pretty little girl. Like, she's really like sort of model superstar kind of person, and I've had that once before.
So is that Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter as well then?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And I've had that once before, and I turned out to be. It was the same thing because it was the girl who ended up being in the Queen's Gambit and that sort of stuff. Right. So I actually did something with her, and I
so maybe the common denominator is
danced with her a little bit. But I spotted her, and I thought the same thing. Like, wow, she's really got a kind of something.
The package.
And she got snapped up very quickly, and well, not that quickly, but she was picked up by M. Night Shyamalan. So she got picked up in it. No, he spotted her and thought, oh, she's got the right look and all that sort of style quality. Now, I don't know about Chris Martin's daughter becoming famous, but then one of the other teachers in the school called her Apple, and I was like, Apple? Who the hell's called Apple? And then I was like, oh! And as soon as I said that, I was like, that's got to be Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter. And then Gwyneth Paltrow showed up and collected her, and I was like, oh, there you go. But Chris Martin, I could say, was, within that school, extremely nice, very lovely person, and he would actually come in and like help. Like after a class and after a lesson, he'd be like, can I help? Can I put things away? Can I put the chairs away?
Start on the piano.
No, but he would come in and like just a nice dad, you know. He was very, very friendly. He was sort of like his music, you know,
like
just friendly and nice.
Which is nice.
But that's not what. So you didn't come in like Noel Gallagher with fucking Guinness, you know, 2 hours late, having left the sun in the corner.
Imagine fucking Liam better still comes in.
All right, just grab his kid halfway through the lesson. Yeah. Flick his cigarette on the no smoking sign.
Oh my god! I wonder what. Yeah.
Those are the heroes back in the day.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, look, Coldplay. You know, they do what they do, but you know, they're very safe. you know, like
Yeah.
they're not fucking
They are
rock stars.
safe, and what does it say?
So, the Brits should be edge of your seat stuff with a daring host, not afraid to spark some boozy controversy. Wild and raucous is how it should be. However, A-listers used to be encouraged to throw themselves headlong into a night of celebrity debauchery, of boozed up shenanigans and commiserations, right? But now...
Commiserations? Is that what it says?
Well, that's what it says.
What the fuck is that about? Boozed up commiserations?
Well, if they don't win the awards.
Fucking, I thought it was like talking about a funeral or something. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh, commiserations.
I should have wrote this. Right. And more than anything else, we need as many opportunities as possible to see our biggest and brightest talents front and centre on stage, collecting coveted gongs.
Gongs? Gongs, right.
That's what I meant to say.
I've been hearing these sounds coming from the basement.
They say it's the scariest book of all time. The only book that's alive. You've heard of books you can't put down. Well, this book will put you down.